Hey, it's Philip here, the Curly Marketer. Today is the sixth and final video in my series of how to create a digital marketing strategy, so stay tuned. Hey, you're very welcome. And as I said, this is the sixth video. We're going to be talking about measurement and budgets. Yes, I know they're not the most sexy sort of topics. You know, we all want to be talking about fancy pictures and doing the creative and all of that. But measurement and budget are very important topics to not gloss over because let's start with measurement. Very famous saying, to measure is to know. And I think you very much agree. You know, if you're not looking at what's happening with your content, like all of the social media channels, particularly the big ones like Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, they all have analytics that you can go in and actually look at to see, you know, not only who are your audience, where are they, but how are they interacting with your content and what are their likes, you know, what are their interests. And then you can kind of start to craft your content around that particular audience set of insights. So it's very important because at the end of the day, there's no point consistently sending out the same type of content, maybe at the same time, and you're getting no hit and then maybe expecting a change. So definitely, you know, looking and measuring to see if what you're doing is working is very, very critical. You know, and I suppose it's very key, you know, like when we talked about setting objectives earlier in this series, you know, as your business starts off, your objectives might be just to then establish a presence. You know, you're trying to gain awareness. So from a measurement perspective, you might be looking at what some people call the vanity metrics, but you're trying to get likes, maybe some retweets with comments, and you're starting to bed down maybe a sounding board to see if your content and if your message is resonating and is starting to have, I suppose, to chip away at maybe a potential follower base. You know, as you move on and start to get more kind of growth and more, I suppose, experienced on the social channels, you then want to be looking at, well, you know, are we growing our follower base? Are we growing our fan base? Are we getting more engagement, more comments? Is our content starting to create those necessary reactions where people now are kind of coming back to us to say, loved that piece of content, and they're sharing it out to their community? And then obviously, you know, as you start, you know, kind of progressing and you're into the whole area of your sales funnel, you want to then be tracking, you know, as people get to your sales page and your landing page and your e-commerce site, are they pushing the buy button, you know, or are they downloading that course? Are they downloading your ebook? Are they taking action? So you want to be tracking all of the steps from the piece of content to the website, just to see, are people actually you know, either pushing button or are they abandoning the cart? So all this information is very key, and you know, between the social channels and their analytics and obviously your own Google Analytics, you can start to build up a really good picture as to, well, what's happening, what's working and what's not working. Now, I suppose it's very important to remember that sometimes if a piece of content doesn't work, don't just write it off as being a complete failure, because I do believe that we're in such a busy social media environment. You know, as I said before, we're constantly bombarded by multiple tweets and multiple blogs and emails and video and that, you know, just because a piece of content maybe didn't get a like or a tweet or it got no shares or it got no comments, it doesn't mean that what you've put out has not maybe resonated with the audience, that they haven't read it. You know, there is, in social media, there is very much the phenomenon of the lurker, the people who will read all the content but will never engage with it. You know, they mightn't share it because they don't want to get involved, but they're happy to read the content, because I've been told by lots of people, love your stuff, Philip, we watch it all the time, but I've never seen them once share it. And I suppose to a certain extent sometimes I'm a bit like that myself, you know, because I'm so focused on trying to maybe learn something or I'm trying to find a solution, and then I find it, that was a great post, I'll certainly remember the person who has written it and ensure that I go back to find more content from them. But once I've got the answer, that's great, I might move on to something else and completely forget to like or share. So that can happen. But I suppose it is important, as I said, from a measurement perspective, just to kind of always focus on to ensure that If a piece of content hasn't worked, is there a reason why it hasn't worked? Did you post at the wrong time? Did you try maybe different copy? Was maybe the headline or the core kind of offer message within the copy just not right? Have you tried an image over a video or vice versa? Was there a link in the post, or maybe there's no link in the post? It's good to test. And then ultimately, if you find after testing, maybe you might come to the conclusion that a particular channel or a particular type of content is just not going to work right for you, and then there's a learning curve that you can move on from. So measurement, very important, and don't forget it. It's something that you have to do, because if you keep doing what you've always done, expect to get the same results. That's, I suppose, common sense. I suppose the next thing is budget. At the end of the day, you know, you have to set a budget for whatever you're doing. It can be very small, it can be huge, but you have to have it in proportion with the objectives you set. And we talked about objectives in a previous video. And, excuse me, picked up a cold. I was over in London last week, was on the tube. I've never experienced it. Obviously now I know what it feels like to maybe be in a microwave oven. I felt like a big potato, so I think I picked up an old cold, so excuse me there. So, but as I was saying, budget. It is very important that you set a budget that is at least suitable to allow you to focus on and try and achieve your specific objectives. And I tend to kind of say, why not set a budget for maybe the first 3 to 6 months of your plan? Set out very, very clearly what you want to achieve in that period. The channels you're going to use, the audience you're focusing on, the type of content you're going to produce, and then look at about setting a budget that will allow you to do this. You know, so take into account the fact that maybe, do you have an in-house resource that can create the content, do video, design images, do all the social media management? That's an in-house cost. Or do you have to outsource it to someone like myself? You know, do you anticipate, which unfortunately in this day and age, social media has become a pay-for-play platform. So you will need to allocate. Start off small, but you will need to allocate funds to advertise on Twitter, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, etc., etc. And then there'll be other kind of costs. Maybe there's some tool costs that you want to use for maybe some scheduling or for some analytics, etc. You will more than likely to be able to access really good quality images. You'll have to sign up and buy photography. So make sure that your budget is allocated, but is also correctly aligned with the objectives that you had, because at the end of the day, there's no point saying, well, we want 50,000 followers and we want 100,000 turnover, and you have a budget of €1,000. It doesn't really make sense. So be realistic, just like your objectives, be realistic with your budget. So I hope you found this Curly Marketer tip useful. As I said, measurement, very important, and with budgeting, you have to set aside a budget to at least give your social media actions an opportunity to flourish. As always, I'm over on Twitter. If you're on Twitter at Pete Twyford, do come over and find me there and say hello. If you're here and you're watching me here on LinkedIn, do send me a connection request. I love to kind of meet new people, especially in social media. If you need social media help, I would always be delighted to engage with you and meet you for a coffee, especially if you're based in Ireland. And my website is thecurlymarketer.com. Do follow me over there on the blog where I give other social media tips. I'll be back very soon with another Curly Marketer tip, and hope you enjoy the rest of your morning, noon or evening, whatever time you are watching this video. Take care.